James Scarlett, we go again. How are you, pal?
I am fantastic, mate. Are you good? Are you good?
I'm good. A wee bit discombobulated again. We pulled the curtain back for no other reason than to tell folk. But we're recording this on Tuesday night,
Yep.
April 23rd. You'll get this on April 25th. Usually we're a week in advance, but because we're doing the Art Tangent Clashfinder, we had to wait until people gave a reaction, and we also didn't want it to be a week old. So, aye, a wee bit all over the place with the timing of this, but otherwise, I'm all good.
Feels like us at our most professional though, because we're like we've planned it, we've waited for people's reaction, and now we're gonna give it, and then we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna rush it out, and everyone will have it. Be great.
Who knows? We might actually end up being quite professional at this. Now, to talking about the scheduling, so I hope the listeners are now getting into the swing of it. Every Thursday, get your audio at 6 in the morning. You get your YouTube at 10. The end of each month, the final Thursday each month, we drop the Q&A alongside the normal pod. So when you're listening to this on Thursday the 25th, there will be a pod released immediately afterwards, probably at the same time, but we'll just drop into your feed afterwards, which will be the Q&A, in which we'll get into what happened to that Opeth set at Art Tangent, James's weird relationship with his condescending brother, and a bunch of other gangsters. I think we even get at some point about what would happen to our festivals. James was convinced one is we're going to get hit with a bus. So give that pod a listen too. It's the reason for it is we get so many questions that we're never going to get through them by answering 2 or 3 at the start of each pod. And it's one of the best parts of doing this is getting the questions. So that's why we're trying to dedicate one episode per month to just getting through as many as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. It's good. Really good. The Q&A episode. So please, after you've got angry about clashes, go and make yourself happy again and listen to the Q&A.
I have a listen to that. And every week, let's have a shout out for our good friend Lou from Lou's Brews. He did actually tell me something this week. He said he does wholesale. So if you own a venue or a bar, restaurant, specialist food store, and you want to get your hands on some hot sauces or spice up your menu, go visit his site, lousbrews.co.uk, find out about his wholesale prices. If you don't run a restaurant or a bar and you just want to spice up your fridge, you can visit there and get yourself a few bottles. Pod 15 to get 15% off. How are you getting on with your sausage, James?
I mean, I know it sounds like I'm just like making this up every week, but it is basically all I eat. And I'm really sorry, Gav, but if I haven't said this already, the Curse These Metal Hands one is now my number one. It is knocked Damnation down into the number two.
Right. Tell me this: is it Curse's Metal Hands with the orange sticker or Curse's Metal Hands with the pink sticker? Because you get two called the same.
It's orange. It's got it's habanero or mango habanero, I think.
Yeah,
It's really nice. It's got like this proper kick, but it only lasts for a really short amount of time. So you're not walking around the house like with your mouth on fire. It's just like
it is a favourite. I don't know why I had to knock off Damnation. You could have just said it was really good. But
no, sorry. Just being honest.
Don't buy the Damnation one. Go get Curse's Metal Hands.
Buy them both. They're great.
So this week I'm really looking forward to this. For all the things we can talk about, I've never had the chance to delve into a Clashfinder and the many stage times that I've released for Damnation, and then also so for other festivals. You can always have a wee bit of feedback on your forums and your groups and say, we didn't want to do that, but we had to. But there's never a chance to sit down and have a proper chat about it. So how are you feeling about the fact that people can rip this apart?
I mean, if there was ever a reason to have a podcast, it feels like talking about the Clashfinder is it, because it's a frustrating thing because you put so much love and attention into it, and then really the most reaction you ever get on Clashfinders, no matter how well you've done your job, is negativity. So it'd be quite nice to just have the opportunity to spend like 45 minutes or so just telling people why certain decisions were made and explaining that there are some clashes that I don't like on the Clashfinder that I did. So I think it's great. It feels like with this podcast, we've got an opportunity to actually speak to people rather than it being like, writing something on a social media channel, which is a bit, you're not really connected. This is like, you can actually tell hopefully you'll be able to tell we care and we're doing our best. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking
and there's
forward to it.
definitely there's bits, I suppose there's people that are now tuning into this podcast and see some of the relationships between managers and agents and the promoters. There's a lot of clashes that are forced upon you. I mean, we've done the whole billing episode, haven't we?
Yeah.
There's clashes that are there before you've got any say in the matter. So aye, let's get about it. We've picked a few questions that are ATG Clashfinder orientated. That's pretty much what the episode's going to be about. So I will kick into that first. Well, Mark Broadbent, why are the set times usually kept top secret by festivals until a week before the festival?
I mean, I think there's a number of reasons. I think often you're not ready. So there's been plenty of years at Arctangent where the lineup wouldn't be finished yet. And until you've locked in all your big bands, you can't quite get your times right. I'm still tinkering around with 2000 Trees Clashfinder at the moment, which is the reason that's not out yet, but it's coming. So I think there's that. Also, I mean, for us, there was always an element of we did want people to buy the Clashfinder on site. So I'm going to say now at the start, I still want people to buy the Clashfinder on site. At the end of the day, merch sales are a big part of why Arctangent is like financially viable. So there was a bit of that, but for us, I mean, we got some shit last year from our fans for basically not releasing the stage times, and when you got the Clashfinder, the stage time still being slightly difficult to decipher, I think people thought. Yeah. And so I was like this year, look, me and Rob were chatting and we were like, look, how can we do this really simply for people? And it's like the easiest thing to do is just give them the bloody spreadsheet. We've given you the actual spreadsheet. It's not like, I mean, we changed the font, I think, but it's the spreadsheet. That's the spreadsheet I've got on my computer that I use all year round. So you have my spreadsheet. So I think we were just really wanted to be like really open with people and be like, here's all the information that you moaned about not getting last year. And we're going to give it you as early as we can. And really, I am so genuinely so excited about the lineup that I've booked this year for Arctangent that I want people to get excited about it. And I want people to work out their sort of route around the festival. And, you know, for me, a Clashfinder isn't about staring at the bad. It's about going, oh my God, I can see this run of 5 bands in a row. This is going to be the best thing ever. And yeah, just getting super excited about it.
I feel so. I've had the ATG Clashfinder for a week or so because we knew we were going to be prepping for this, and I've found myself now checking out more bands. And I've had lineup poster in front of me all that time, and I could have at any point went and said, right, finally, I need to go and listen to Glassing. I need to listen to Glass. I feel like I'm not going to like that band because I've seen the kind of people recommend them when you're talking about like a frail body and they mention Glassing. So I already know that I'm probably about. I need to go and check them out, but didn't. Yeah, I've got the Clashfinder in front of me, and suddenly I'm realising, oh, I could probably go and see Glassing and not miss, I don't know, Year of No Light or Julie Christmas. So I'm away listening to Glassing, like, boom, another absolutely brilliant band that I'm going to get to see at Arctangent. And there's definitely is a fear of, I've had this situation before, you check out too many bands and the Clashfinder comes out and it's a fucking day of horror because you love everyone. So the Clashfinder is weirdly giving me a prompt to go and listen to bands that I know that I can go and enjoy now without the heartache of choosing between another band. I will have to say, well, we'll talk about that. It was Every Hell is clashing with Year of No Light, and it isn't that run of Glassing and Frail Body. And I was like, I bet you they sound the same. I bet they sound the same. And thankfully, they sound good, but they don't sound as good as Frail Body and Glassing. So I'm like, Year of No Light would have, it would have been, Every Hell would have to be some band to be better than that. May not go and see Year of No Light again. But aye, it's been great to do that. You think that's going to prompt a lot of people like myself then to go and check out a lot of these bands in the third, fourth, and fifth stage that are smaller? But like, aye, okay. I've got a 3 hour gap in my day where I don't know any of the bands. Let's go and check them out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the most, as a booker of a festival, that's the most exciting bit, is when people are going and discovering new stuff that they haven't listened to before. And the other thing I would say is the purists get very like, you've got to watch the full set. But I'm a bit more like, if they're bands you're not absolutely in love with, it's cool to half and half it. Anyone who's not been to Arctangent before, well, actually, any of the 3 festivals on this podcast, you can get between the stages. So you can half and half it. And as we'll talk about later, there's sometimes I'm going to do 3 bands in one half an hour period just to like make sure I see a little bit of each one.
In one
So
sitting.
yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to whoever the idea it was to come up with the aesthetic of the old Windows 95 PC and the spreadsheet. It was very clever.
Yeah, it was a combination of Katie, who runs our social media, and my brother Rob. So well done to them. Yeah, it's cool, wasn't it?
Yes, no, I liked it.
I was
It
happy
was
with
a new way to do it. It seemed like it was a new aesthetic to it. Hopefully, it helped drive some names towards your mailing list, which is always important to festivals because you never know how well you can rely on social media when they're trying to charge you £1 billion for some some ads, and then ultimately getting it in the spreadsheet and then being able to fanny a bit with it. You know what I mean? It was a nice touch.
And we're all like, let's face it, if you're listening to a podcast about fucking Clashfinders, you need to have a good look at yourself in the mirror. Anyone who's still here 10 minutes in is a geek and you like having a spreadsheet. So yeah, welcome. You're at home.
We decided, I don't know, maybe, but to ourselves, because certainly never talked about it beforehand, but we never came on just to celebrate how fantastic was it. Cancelled festivals or Headliners of the Future? What was the last one we done? Headliners of the Future.
Headliners of the Future, yeah.
Aye, so that one's fucking rocketing as well, and we're like, aye. People are sitting through a lot of these things, and you're getting people because Headliners of the Future was our fanboy episode. That was the one where people going, mate, it was good just to listen to you two geeking out about music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is exactly what we're doing. So we're like, and what other bands you like, James? James, what other bands you like?
Exactly. It was nice, particularly the doing each other's stages.
Yes.
Like me doing a Damnation stage. That felt good. I enjoyed it.
That seems like a long time ago now.
Yeah. Shall I ask you another question?
Yeah, hit me up.
So Matt Lawson Hall says, could you share a bit of your process/tactics/approach to tackling this mammoth task? Interested in how long it takes, how many versions you go through, and what are the constraints when doing it?
So for Damnation, when we obviously have we had 4 stages forever. We had the 4 stages, and then we moved to Becky, and we'll get the 3. Maybe one day we'll try and get something outdoors, but let's just address the issues in front of us.
Is that an announcement?
I just address the issues in front of us before we start adding bits to Damnation. So you've got the 3 stages, so you get the joy now of having a main stage that doesn't clash, and then 2 stages that clash directly, and they are themed as such, you know what I mean? So I've said before that low and slow, post-rock, post-metal, sludge, doom, and then your hard and fast, grindcore, black metal, death metal on the other stage. So that it kind of works itself out. Yeah, the question is like, what one of those bands, why would a Full of Hell work early on the main stage, but they could also work high up in the second stage? And would we want to do as a conversation with the agent, or would the band what to do? Would they prefer? And then where the bands are billed, which is a different episode in itself, just about the arguments are them arguing about who's bigger. So Damnation isn't rocket science. So it just takes a bit. I mean, you get something like Nordic Giants is probably a good example of where you go against the grain. Well, that was an obvious high end of the third stage booking, which we deliberately used to open the stage because we wanted that fuck me moment. You know what I mean? You walk in and you see that 12-meter screen being used for what it should be used for instead of just a static band logo. So there is times where you're trying to do something that goes against the grain of even how you would foresee your day at Damnation.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at Damnation, biggest bands, biggest stage, low and slow, stage 3, hard and fast, stage 2, and you can get yourself between all 3 of those stages in 60 seconds if you want. So you can move between the wee half and half if you need half and half it.
So mine's slightly different to that. So as we've discussed before, the genre-wise at both festivals, they're kind of very mixed across all different stages. So what I try not to think about the Clashfinder when I'm booking, because there's so many bands to book, I find that that's quite a constraining thing. It's better to just book the bands. Now, every so often, I will think to myself, who is headlining Yokai stage? Amenra. Well, let me think about who's headlining Bixler, because you don't want that to be Year of No Light, because that will cause a war, right?
Yeah.
So you are trying to miss some really stupid clashes out. So you don't offer Year of No Light, the headline slot in Bixler, because you know it clashes with Amenra. So you're not going to do that. But mostly, I'm not really thinking about it. And then when we get to like about a month ago, I then set up my Clashfinder spreadsheet, and it feeds all the stage times into the Clashfinder bit. and I just sit there with my headphones on and my phone listening to Spotify, and I go through 100% of the clashes, every single clash. And every time I meet one where the genres are similar, or for some reason, like I'll be like, even if the genres aren't similar, there might be other reasons I don't want bands to clash, because it's the same booking agent sometimes, or it's
same label.
Yeah, same label, or maybe for some reason there's a fan base crossover for that I perceive. I mean, it's not a perfect process, and I will then move bands around to avoid the clashes. Now, your main stage is pretty much fixed. You can't really fuck about with that too much, and probably the second stage is fixed pretty much as well. So you're moving around the smaller stages. You might even change bands' stage they're on sometimes. Depends who the agent is as to whether you can just get on with that or whether you've got to send emails to do that. But I will fiddle around with the smaller stages, and I will move bands loads and loads. So I am desperately trying to avoid having to do an episode where we talk about all the stupid clashes that I've come up with, because I'm trying really hard to avoid them. But yeah, I mean, my process, the most important part of the process is book the strongest lineup you can.
Yeah.
And if you nail your lineup, the clashes, there will be clashes. I mean, to pick an example, Three Trap Tigers and Glassing, everyone's complaining about that. Now, I will fight anyone that tells me those bands sound the same. They don't, right? So, Delta Sleep and Psy was like a clash that people were moaning about. It's like, what the fuck? How was I ever supposed to foresee that coming? If that is your bag, then good luck to you. But
congratulations. Yeah. You have got some fucking great taste in music, sir.
Yeah. So those sort of clashes, you can't see that coming. Do I like Delta Sleep and Psy? Yes, I do personally. So I do understand.
Yeah.
I get it. But if you want to, I nearly called my lineup stacked. That sounds a bit arrogant. But if you want a really good festival lineup, you will have clashes.
And that's the truth. Listen, I've said that previously as well. We expect, even when I'm putting the two stages together and you're getting, I know, Nathrak versus maybe Schwill. I mean, no one's even coming on to jest. Those two bands are in the same universe. Never mind any similarities. But for a fact people coming to Damnation, including myself included, would love to go and see both those bands. So the clash is the clash, but most people get it if it's not Amenra clashing with You Don't Know Light. You clash Amenra with You Don't Know Light. I am not doing another podcast with you, right? I'm not sitting across you being absolutely tarred with that brush. So, but Delta Sleep and Psy, I understand it completely. So, that's how far down the main stage do you get when you start to get a bit of freedom back? I mean, because headliners, the assumption, obviously they're booked in to be headliners. Sub one under that, most likely you're dealing with agents that are being very specific, and the money's so fucking huge that they need to be specific. So where does it you start to get? You can get, I can squeeze a wee Hex vessel in there, or a Reed dude, or something like that.
The problem is if you've already said to Hex Vessel you've got the main stage slot, you can't then take it away from them by moving them to the second stage, even though they would have been really happy with that at the time you booked them. So you do lose some of that.
Which begs the question, why would you offer that in the first place? Why would you tie your hands when you're getting Hex Vessel included? Just get excited?
Yeah, sometimes I do make very open offers, but most agents don't like it if you're not telling them where it's at least something, at least a stage name and this is going to be in the afternoon or whatever. And the other thing at Arctangent is because for some unknown reason that I can't recall, I decided to start years and years ago, decided that 11 a.m. was an appropriate time to start bands, which every time I wake up at the festival, I always regret because it's fucking stupid. It's too early. I always tell the opening band, you are on at 11 a.m. as the first time the offer goes out, because some bands don't want to do that. Yeah. And there was a joke. There was a lot of people saying there's a band called Torpor, who are on at 11 a.m. They're fucking heavy. They're like Cult of Luna but heavier, and it's 11 a.m. So people are like, whoa, that's going to wake us up. Thanks. Yeah.
Sometimes that's exactly what you need. The coffee is just not going to be enough. You get a bit of Torpor in your ears. So, aye. And do you try to take that into consideration? Do you want a wee bit of like, oh, here's some gentle post rock to get your day started? You're like, no, some days it needs to be Torpor.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, actually, because I do, there are a few genres at Arctangent that I'm much more likely to start the day with. Like a bit of nice twinkly math rock or some drifting post rock is much better than smash you in the face post metal.
Yeah.
But that will I have actually got the Clashfinder in front of me, but Torpor will like clash with someone. Yeah, they clashed with Anta on the main stage, so it's like a sort of prog band on the main stage playing like really like 70s vibes, clashing with Cult of Luna. So you've got both options. I'm sure there are some people that want to get. You'll be there, mate. I reckon.
Yeah, well, because we still need to discuss when is the podcast, what day is that we're going to do it, because it cannot be the final day, James. That was almost the end of me.
Yeah, I think we're going to do Friday, aren't we? So we're going to do 10 a.m. Friday morning.
Is
It's
that
going to be.
is that a good one? Is 10 a.m. Friday a good one?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I mean, I don't want to do this publicly because the rider's coming on me with my towels and what I'm going to need. And I need to see the billing in these other podcasts and if I can go to the left or right.
Amazing. We should. I mean, I think my artist liaison team are listening now. So Gav would like 2 bath towels, please.
Not IKEA. Not IKEA.
No, and a bottle of something.
We bought let's go with Jack Daniels. Doesn't need to be too extravagant. Just a wee gentleman Jack, please, if you're listening. That's great. I mean, I know this is where are we now? So by the time the 29th for this month, so a couple of days, we'll be 2 months into this. Feels like longer for some reason, but it's only 2 months. And there's definitely I saw it was a Bam Nagara, whatever that guy for CKY was, Jackass. He was doing it must be a live talk in a friend of mine's venue, the guy Mark for audio, and he owns a sleigh, but I had it all seated. And I sent him a message there. He goes, so how many seats is that? And what's that to hire? In the back of my head. By the end of this year, we're doing one live gig somewhere. It has to do it for nothing else for the shits and giggles of we need to go full circle and be the artist at some point, and we need to be showing up with the demands. So
Hey, you know what we need? We need a booking agent. We need a booking agent. So there's a few listening. So
the whole process. So
yeah.
Aye. Right, it's my question. How much, Brendan Coles is asking, how much, if any, influence do the audience have in swaying you to change anything related to set times? Pete Gillespie, it's a sort of same thing, but I'll ask guys after we answer that one. So how much, if any, influence do the audience have in swinging you to change anything related to the set times?
Well, I used to let the audience sway me, and that it turns out that is a mistake, because what you do is there's like all these people over here who are happy with your Clashfinder, and then there's a few over here that are unhappy, and they shout. So you change something, and you just piss a load of different people off. So stupid idea. But I think what I do now is I spend a lot of time going through the Clashfinder, and I do send it to other people that I respect their opinion of to have a look at it, tell me if I've done anything mad. And then once it's out, and I am like, we'll talk about a couple of clashes that people have been moaning about, and I agree with you, and I knew you were going to moan, but I've like that. I think it's the best the Clashfinder could. It's the best Clashfinder I can do for Arctangent. I put everything I had into it, and
yeah,
I'm not going to change it now.
What about pre that though? When it comes out, so what? I'm the same. Once it comes out, and I think one year we were going to try, or we attempted to. I want to look at not having Conjurer clash with Svalbard. And I knew as soon as it went in another direction, you're just creating another 2 clashes, and then it becomes just chaotic. Because then it's a bit like, okay, so all we need to do is moan loudest, and we can get our way. So just come on and stomp your feet in the forum and the socials, and then just make that rod for your own back across the board with every clash. So, aye, not to do that. But before it comes out, because what you'll have is you'll have the Ocean play or Imperial Triumphant's another one. Well, the noise about. So our plan was to put the Ocean in the 3rd stage in Leeds, which was the ISO meter stage. It's about 900 to 1,000 for folk that were there. It's like a weird assembly hall with a seating area upstairs, and then the 4th stage is the one downstairs. And then Imperial Triumphant we're playing that. Now beforehand it was like shit. It sounds like 3,000 people want to see the Ocean, and 3,000 people want to see Imperial Triumphant, and that's not. That was my understanding of the reality of the situation. Like it was about like the Ocean going to be clashing with another big band in the Peel Triumphant or clashing with who was it, Opeth maybe that year. So you're like, am I making a mistake here? Should I move them before the stage time is good? Unfortunately, I stuck to my guns. And it worked out fine. Imperial Triumphant wasn't even that busy that year because OPF did take up so much of the attention and the Ocean just about worked. But has there been times where you've kind of get that impression of, shit, I need to move this band for a small stage into a main stage or a bigger stage just because it seems like the demand's there?
I mean, well, I mean, the last week of like listening to people talk about clashes has made me be like, oh wow, like Glassing are more popular than I was expecting. MS Paint are more popular than I was expecting. Blood Command, which I booked, and I thought everyone would go, "What the fuck are you doing? You're a lunatic." They seem to be popular. So, I don't really change the stages. I think Arctangent, the stages are big enough. Even the smallest stage is now, you know, you can get 1,000 people in it or whatever, and I think the stages are big enough to take that. And there's enough going on elsewhere that the audience is dispersed enough. So no, I don't often move bands stages, but then like someone like Slift this year, the buzz that, so I'm about to disagree with myself now. Someone like Slift this year, the buzz was so good around that album that I did bump them up into a better slot and started looking at the venues they played previously, and I was like, actually, fucking, you know, Slift have got it, so let's bump them up to their headline in the Bixler stage.
So
yeah,
if you would have preferred an Earth Tone 9 clashing with Caspian and Slift clashing with Brontide, sorry, James was persuaded at the final minute.
yeah, changes way. In fact, Brontide, I think Brontide I was getting right up their nose because I've moved them around. I think they might have even changed days. Like sometimes just, you know, well, actually, we've talked previously on the podcast about how Mogwai came in and I had to just shuffle around all sorts of shit. So there was a lot of bands moving. Little did they know to fit Mogwai in.
Yeah.
I
hope they understand.
Yeah,
I hope they understand. Just because this won't come back, it just came to me. Have we got Blanket on any festivals yet?
Yes. Oh shit. When's this going out? Fucking hell, mate. You just
Thursday, 2 days from now.
I got way too excited then. Okay, I'll just announce
it's a podcast exclusive. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I actually did it today. It's done, but it's not Arctangent. It's the other one.
Please.
So well done for announcing that, Gav. Blanket are playing 2,000 Trees.
Fantastic. There you go. Well, we end today, as you said, if any bands fell out, you're going to book them, and there was no chance you were keeping a hold of the whole 300 bands. So it was. We got a good response from that. That's another thing for that episode. See, like Meryl Streak, Green Lung, Blanket, all the guys listening into the podcast, sharing it in their socials. It was great. I mean, I hadn't considered that Meryl Streep would actually hear it. Some Irish punk guy hearing some Glaswegian talk shite on this podcast. But within fucking half an hour, it was his PR agency. We're sharing it everywhere. Then the man himself. So great. That's good. I'm glad that came to me there just when you mentioned. Yeah. The second part of this, I think you might answer this a wee bit. Pete Gillespie's, have you ever gone back to a clash because of the band's wishes? As they were opposed to so instead of the fan base going, oh my god, the band's going, oh fuck, your class is with Mogwai. Please, James, anything but a clash with Mogwai.
Well, I see the Clashfinder as like it's me getting back at the agents for all their billing pain. Because as we talked about before, all the agents do is try and argue their bands higher and higher up the stages. And if you go higher up the third stage, you will probably clash with the main stage, or higher up the Arctangent, it's the fourth stage. It clashes with the main stage. So you can argue to go up higher, but do you want to clash with the main stage headliner? Maybe not, but it's too late now. So the one thing I never do is I'd never ask anyone's opinion from that. I don't ask the bands or the booking agents to approve the Clashfinder. It's basically like, you've approved the billing as part of the offer I've made, and I will not go back on that. You will get the same slot we agreed.
Yeah.
And you
clash you're never ending, chasing your tail for the rest of the time.
Yeah, sometimes as part of the negotiation, there is some chat about who do we clash with. Like, you know, often bands won't want to headline a fourth stage because they clash with the main stage headliner. But yeah, the Arctangent and Trees, those sets are always busy. Because not everyone likes the main stage headliner, even when that is like Mogwai or Meshuggah. It's like,
no, of course. I mean, I tell you what, if I was in a band, I would like. I'm that kind of guy. I always like to know the detail. I'd want to know who I was clashing with. I'm like, it's no Converge, is it, James? It's no Converge. No,
well, No, with Sugar Horse were like, you fucking clashed us with Converge. But I was like, don't worry, it will be fine. And it was fine.
Good
It
for
was
them.
great. It was more than fine.
Aye, aye.
um,
Hit me up.
one more question.
Yes, one more.
So Alex Coates asked, do you worry that the inevitable lineup changes before August will throw more spanners in the works now that people know the intended timings? And the second part of that is if the lineup changes, if lineup changes are necessary in the lead up, do you look to bring in replacements of the same size and genre so as not to move the timings around? So basically, am I worried about, or are we worried about lineup changes? And if the lineup changes,
Yeah.
are you going to bring in similar replacements?
So his first point is the span on the box, because what you're doing is you're showing somebody the menu, aren't you? There you go. That's the things you can choose for that day. And he's saying if that's already out and you've planned your day, then when you start losing people, it's difficult to piece it back together the way. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to do if it was just a case of here's the poster, and then a band drops out, and you're like, you had no idea when that band was going to clash with another one of your favourites, or be on too early for you to get there. You weren't arriving that day. So I get what it means, and it sounds like the pros outweigh the cons, because what we talked about earlier, were you saying, but now people can get excited about how their day is. If a band drops out, it's not ideal, but then it wasn't ideal anyway, whether you had the time or not. You were going to, if you were a fan of Three Trapped Tigers and they cancel next week, it's not going to hurt you that much more that they cancel because you knew their stage time. You're going to be pissed off just because you wanted to see them.
Yeah. So I'm not. So if Three Trapped Tigers cancel, I am not going to go and try and look for a Three Trapped Tigers clone, because there probably isn't one, right? So what I am going to do is I'm going to go into it thinking I do not want to change the Clashfinder. So who are they clashing with? Right, they're clashing with Glassing. So I'm not going to go and book a band that is just too similar to Glassing. Other than that, I'm just going to book a band basically that fits Arctangent. Now, if you go high up the lineup, if Electric Wizard or Explosions in the Sky drop out, then that's different. There is potential then that you would move shit around. Like if Explosions in the Sky drop out a month before, Clowncore are going to go up a slot and they're going to headline that. It's too late to get replacements. So I think you roll with the punches. We rarely have big bands over the last 17 years pull out. It's always medium and smaller bands. So I'm totally relaxed about it, to be honest. The Clashfinder will almost certainly stay the same.
Clashfinder is king. Because the thing is, you think that you moving it, all the things that make sense become such a chaotic domino effect that you're ruining people's days who who might not even have heard that band they cancelled. So when Tusker dropped out the 12th hour, 11th hour of the Night of Salvation last year, and we brought in Dinner Celestial Birds. Dinner Celestial Birds would have opened that stage, obviously, if they had been playing it and hadn't to be part of Church Riggers, but they didn't. They went in at the Tusker slot as to not fuck up everybody else's plans, the bands included, because you don't know what the bands have arranged to be there at that time and what they're going to do afterwards and what their plans were with their hired bus or the hired van or their driver. So it's not just a case of, it's for the fans, it's for everyone involved. You might not have given a shit about Tusker, and you might not even give a shit about Dinner Celestial Birds, but you wanted to see Celestial Sanctuary play an Inhumane Nature play when they were due to play, and you were going to show up and suddenly be watching, I know, Dinner Celestial Birds, like, this does not sound like thrash at all.
Exactly. You come in at it as a fan, aren't you? Like when I go to a festival, whether it's Download or Roadburn or wherever, or Damnation, I am coming with my Clashfinder in my hand. I've spent the last week before that red pen in it and green pen in it, and I know exactly who I want to see. So I get that. I love people doing their spreadsheets, so it's just great seeing it. And in the last week, so yeah, you're not going to ruin that for people on the day, are you? It's like someone's pulled out and you just move everything around.
To use the three Trapped Tigers, who seem to be guys that we're trying to push out the festival, when they go, you're not going to try and find a clone of that band, but do you look at it and say, I am, if possible, going to try and get a band of that stature? So that slot's still, because basically you want, the reason they're on that main stage in that slot is because you believe they're going to attract a fan base to the stage at that slot. So if you can, are you trying to go out and get another band that size, or is it a case of just a band that will do that's not going to clash with Glassing?
Well, it's tricky because the Three Trapped Tigers are playing on the main stage. So one of my considerations there is that is a big, big fucking stage. And not every single band that's playing Arctangent this year would I put in the mid to late afternoon on that main stage. You've got to really command that.
Yeah.
So that's my consideration. Does the Clash work with glassing? Would it be a good enough a band that can pull that off? And so you need some sort of stature. And the later it is, the more you're thinking, I'm going to ask someone who's already there. And,
Yes.
And it's just like, can Bosk do a third set?
Bosk are the go-to, because again, if you don't know enough, a lot about Damnation, we lost Ahab, the German doom band, the morning of, or maybe the night before. And Bosk, when we found out about Ahab, Bosk were on stage playing Auden Noir at the night before, and we were basically waiting for them to go off stage saying, can you guys come on and do this? Because then the consideration there is, it's not just about getting Dinner Celestial Birds to come in and fill in a slot on your Friday on the small stage. It's like, that was a slot immediately before Maybe She Will clashing with Rotten Sound coming across. It needs to be a band that can command the slot. Exactly what you're saying. There's no point in just getting in whoever you know down the pub with a guitar, because it needs to be, you're there, you've got your pint in the hand, you were already looking forward to seeing Ahab, who are a considerable sizable act in themselves, flying in for a UK exclusive. It better be somebody you're like, I'm looking forward to seeing this too. And Bosk are the kind of band that can make you forget that Ahab pulled out.
Yeah, exactly. So we did it one year at Trees with Roller Tomasi. They replaced the band on the main stage, and it was great. So yeah, you just got to roll with the punches. Depends when these things happen as to how you react to them.
Aye, there's some stuff you just cannot avoid. I mean, some of them. I mean, a band pulls out, you say there's going to be a replacement. People do say it'll be Sleep. Just book Sleep in 13 hours notice. I mean, could they even? I mean, it could even have flown from the US to Manchester in the time that you've given us to book this band. So, aye, some people get very high expectations.
They do. So I've had, I don't know why I'm reliving this hell, but in 2009, Ruben were headlining 2000 Trees, and they split up, and the only show they cancelled was 2000 Trees. And a couple of years later, Frank Turner was headlining 2000 Trees, and he rang me. Like, we don't speak on the phone, but my phone rang, and it was Frank. And he's like, I'm really, really sorry. I've been offered a tour with the Offspring in America, and I just can't turn it down. And it's basically like, I've lost my headliner twice at 2000 Trees, and that is fucking horrible.
Yep.
That ain't any sort of fun.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do on the Clashfinder then.
I found out Ministry while pulling out of Damnation went 6 weeks out, just because the tour wasn't making much financial sense. You're like, oh, fucking thanks, guys. You know what I mean? It's like, you think now, I mean, we're booking bands, we into 2025. 6 weeks is nothing. Absolutely nothing to try and turn around some of that stuff. So, aye. And that's not a slot you can just kind of, let's just phone Tom and see if Bosk will just jump into the headline slot at Damnation. Although he'd argue that the Hobsley could, so.
Yeah, of course he would. Amazing. Should we talk about some clashes?
Yes. So you I mean, you've done a bit of fair play, done a bit of deeper. You went across all your socials and asked folk, right, let us know what's bothering you. So what were the big ones?
Well, look, the one I'd want to talk about first is the one that I knew was coming, and I agree with. This is the only one where I'm going to hold my hands up and say I agree, and that is Clowncore versus Author and Punisher. And so I thought it was worth me explaining why these bands are clashing and why I didn't avoid it. And basically, very early on, I aimed for the PX3 stage this year to have the top two bands of the day to be electronic, and there'd be like electronic. The band in the middle of those two slots would be on the Elephant stage, and you could literally watch 3 sort of electronic bands in a row finish on a party. If you didn't want to watch Meshuggah and Animals as Leaders on the main stage, you can have some like sort of electronic party thing. And I got those slots booked quite early with the likes of Author and Punisher, John Connor, Gallops, bands like that. And then way later, Clowncore came in. And the problem is, of course, I've booked an electronic band on the main stage to clash with an electronic band on the PX3 stage, and then I've got my Clashfinder in front of me here, and then you're looking at like, what's my way out of this? And it was either to admit to myself that the night wasn't going to finish on the PX3 stage with electronic bands and like bump like someone like Kay and Ashy or Squid Pisser up. But I just thought, I really, honestly, I thought I've stuck to my guns basically, and I'm like, I want some people to watch Author and Punisher into Tokky Horror into John Connor, and that's the end of your night. and it's like a really dark electronic party. And unfortunately, if you like clowncore as well, you don't want that's fucked you up a bit. And I think a lot of people, from what I'm reading, are saying, "Well, we don't know if we'll get to see clowncore again." So, does that am I making any sense here, guys?
It makes total sense. Although I suppose, because I'm looking at it too, you can just go Clowncore, Tokky Horror, John Cruxner, or what? Is that how do you say that?
Yeah,
John Connor.
John Connor, I think. Yeah,
Just John Connor. So yeah, I suppose it's just a case. I won't want you just choosing. Are you choosing Clowncore or Author and Punisher? Because it's not as if the main stage is so far away from the other two stages you couldn't just walk to them either. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think those sets of Author and Punisher and Clowncore will be enveloping sets, right? The clown I know what Clowncore are planning and like what it's going to look like, and it's going to be fucking awesome. So I'm not going to suggest a half and half here. I will do half and half definitely, but everyone else, I think you just got to make your call. It will be great. Basically, I'm holding my hands up and saying, fair enough, you're right. Probably shouldn't have clashed those two, but I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't find a way out.
And the reason for it was Clowncore, basically. You had your plan in place for the other two stages, and then Clowncore came in and made a new plan for you.
Yeah, exactly. And actually that was all wrapped up in that like Mogwai coming in at the last minute stuff. So it's complicated.
Seen a situation like that. Was there no option for Baroness and Clowncore to swap? Was that one of those ones that those slots were pretty much pre-agreed?
No, yeah, because I had again in the Mogwai mess of like trying to steamroll a Mogwai into the lineup. So Clowncore had already moved, and they weren't like happy with me at that point. So I definitely couldn't have pushed them down a slot.
Yeah,
100%. There's just no way Clowncore were going further down in a million years.
Aye, that makes sense. Makes sense.
So you know, so that's just the way it is. And then the second most complained one, I'm going to not agree with people on, which is Amenra versus Textures. Now, look, I mean, I'm just looking at the Clashfinder again. Frankly, so many people brought this up this week that I was like, wait a minute, have I got myself confused here and booked the wrong band?
Amenra, not the Belgian post-metal band.
Yeah. So I went and had a listen to Textures because I actually historically wasn't massively into Textures. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, that Textures is sort of, it sits in that like tech metal world. So yeah. Tech metal and post metal are like, they feel like it's like, you know, it used to be in the 80s, it was like punk and thrash hated each other or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like tech metal and post metal aren't really, that doesn't feel to me like people should be bothered about. Is it just
one of those ones that Amenra are so all-encompassing of the Arctangent fan base that you are probably going to get a bit of that against anyone? Because a personal clash for me, it's not a clash, is Amenra and Tokky Horror, but only because I love Amenra and I really want to check out Tokky Horror. So I can see why.
I mean, mate, there's something wrong with you, seriously. No one likes Amenra and Tokky Horror.
Everybody likes. Well, how can you dislike fucking either of those bands? You know what I mean? The only thing I dislike about Tokky Horror is I've been due to see them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, including at my own festival and yours previously, and they fucking keep cancelling or pulling out. So I'm hoping that this one
as well.
Say that again.
They're breaking up, so you got to watch them.
So I need to say, I mean, but like Amenra, I prefer Amenra infinitely more than Tokky Horror is a musical project I'd sit and listen to. However, I did see Amenra 5 times last year, and if this is the only chance I'm going to go and get a rave to Tokky Horror, then I need to see a bit of Tokky Horror.
Tokky Horror was so fun in that tent. I think it'll be amazing. But again, Textures have reformed. I mean, people are super excited. If you're into your Meshuggahs and your Animals as leaders, then go and watch Textures. So look, I'm basically saying, yeah, that they're just 2 big bands on 2 big stages. They're clashing. Those stages clash.
One that I saw people get into is Sean and Frail Body. Was that seemed to be quite a clash that people were mentioning?
Yeah, that's a weird one because they've both got like tinges of black metal in them, right? But like Sean is like cheesy prog black metal. I fucking love it. I'm not saying cheesy.
No, you've recommended. We know you love it.
But it's like overblown and ridiculous. And Frail Body, having seen them the other day in Bristol, it's not that at all. It's like proper, like you're in a basement in hell in a tiny room and they're gonna terrify you. It's like the other end of that's like screamo black metal, and
Yeah,
Ishan's
and
prog
to
black
be
metal.
fair,
So.
I think you're giving people sort of a wee bit more credit than they're due to even add that black metal flavour into it. I mean, come on, Frail Body is not something I'm listening to going, oh, it's because of the black metal, and I also like it, Sean, because of the Emperor black metal thing. It's a bit like they two bands don't. One of these
No.
bands is not like the other. You know what I mean? So I think it's another one where you need to accept some of the Clash are just two very popular bands that people want to see. I would check out both of them, but I'm just going to go see Frail Body. Are you going to try and do a half and half?
Um, yeah, I am. Having just seen Frail Body, I will start with Ishan. I'm really excited to see how big and overblown that is on the main stage, and how
Yeah,
those songs are really like massive. I mean, I've got a smile on my face right now because that Ishan album is a bit stupid but fucking great.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to how it comes over live. But I mean, I watch a lot of bands Arctangent, so I'll half and half almost everything if I can. Like I very rarely stay in one place for 50 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, but give us another couple of
Um,
ones that seem like almost genuine clashes, and then we'll get a couple of ones that are just daft that people have just went mental.
yeah, I think Caspian and Slift is, you know, genre-wise, it doesn't really feel like a clash to me. At the end of the day, they're both bands that are stage headliners, and people want to see them both because they're big bands. I mean, Caspian, I mean that it must be their favorite show of every year at Arctangent because people fucking love them at
Yeah,
Arctangent. Are you a Caspian fan? Because you're post rock man.
I am. They haven't not on the same level as many of my other favourites between that because I feel like they bridge that post rock to post metal quite because
Yeah,
the guitars can kick in. It takes into the one of the post metal world as well. Saw them at Dunk last year and they were absolutely brilliant. A band much like Pelican, who I'd love to be at Damnation one year. They just sometimes the bands just can never get the schedules to quite work. Envy being another one of those bands. So aye, Caspian in a
yeah,
band. I would definitely. I mean, the Swift music's fine, but the Caspian wins that clash for me.
yeah. And I think again, it's a bit like Armour and Textures. They're headliners, right?
Aye.
Bixler and Yokai. You've always got two big headliners going up against each other.
And
So
listen, I don't want to be shitty to Squid Pisser. I've never heard the band, and I'm actually at this point I don't want to go and hear them because there is no chance I am not watching Julie Christmas in that main
I
stage.
think you'll like Squid Pisser though,
I
mate.
don't. That's the fucking worst bit. You know what I mean? But I can't do it. There's no way. I can't. There's no way. I'm not going to go and watch fucking Julie Christmas. Absolutely, the demented pixie on the main stage, absolutely hypnotizing people.
Yeah.
So I probably would like Squid Pisser, and I'm not trying to shit on Squid Pisser. Hope you guys have a fantastic show. But Julie Christmas, man, come on, come on.
You missed the opportunity to say I'm not trying to piss on Squid Pisser there,
Ah,
but so I mean, I think we won't go on about all of these forever, but Mogwai versus MS Paint is quite an interesting one just to let people into the booking process. MS Paint was the last band I booked for the festival. And weirdly, I was trying to book a metal band to go up against Mogwai. So like
I think you said the name
yeah.
previously.
Yeah. Have I explained this? Oh, we talked about Dodd Heimsgard and Horrendous, didn't we?
Yes.
And how that would be a good look. And then MS Paint just suddenly just like I went to see him live, and then the agent or the manager actually just emailed me about them. I was like, okay, yeah, done.
So they're another band, much like Squid Pisser, that I haven't had the chance to check out. No, I mean, it would have to take something to get me away from Mogwai, that's for sure. But what would the race sound like? Is that a clash?
So they're like an Outbreak festival type band. They are, but they're much more. They're like an electronic turnstile or a more
Right.
hip hoppy. I don't know. It's not like heavy guitars, but it is hardcore, really. So yeah, I think that'll be cool. Yeah.
So, with some of the more ridiculous efforts that I saw, I mean, you mentioned Delta Sleep and Psy. It's only a clash if you say you like both those bands.
Yeah.
That's as straightforward a fucking Rotten Sound clashing with Ahab as you're going to get. You know what I mean? One of those things is not like the other. If you like both, totally understandable. But it's not a clash. You're going to a festival. That's going to be the whole day, surely.
Yeah. I mean, it's mad. That is. One of the ones I thought was hilarious was Meshuggah and I might not pronounce this right. Come for Trauschen. So that Come for Trauschen are like they're like a techno band basically, and they play it with live instruments. So maybe a bit like Scalping do. They're doing dance music, electronic music, but with actual guitars and drums. They do not sound like Meshuggah, and there's a couple of people moaning about it, and it's like, I mean, you have to just piss yourself on that and be like, well, whatever. If you want to watch both of those, but you are stretching. And the other one, I don't know if you know the band Blood Command, but they're like a sort of they're all over the place, but it's basically rooted, I would say, in punk, but it's super fun. They are one of those bands that will be really, really fun. And people have been complaining about them clashing with Animals as Leaders, which is not fun and is very serious, I think. And I just can't, and maybe that's unfair to Animals Leaders, but I cannot understand people not liking that clash. But I just think, I'm not laughing at you. I think it's funny that we all like
I mean,
we like ridiculous music.
This is the reaction when you get something, because you're thinking, look, what could some of those clashes could have looked like? Because that's the thing I suppose you never consider as a fan. Or like, it could have been Amenra and you don't know, like, it could be fucking explosions in the sky and having your Mogwai in the same day and another time. I mean, I know that wouldn't happen, but like that type of music, you're like, these are two of my favourite bands. There's no way in the world you can clash these two post-metal bands, because you can't clash these two electronic. Like, if you had Meshuggah and Animals as leaders, Animals leader headlining one stage and Meshuggah playing at the same time, I'm sure you'd have a lot of people going, well, what are you playing it here? You know what I mean? So there is sometimes you know that you've avoided that clash, and then somebody goes, what about Amenra and Tokky Horror? How did you come to that one? Hey, calm down.
Yeah, it's pretty bonkers that. Have you got any Gav that you're?
Do you know what I was bugging you? I was pretty happy. I mean, getting through it, see a couple of things. Sometimes you get a couple of bands you know you would definitely check. I mean, I was interested because Underdark and On People, right? So you put me on to On People was at the end of the last. So the end of our fanboy episode. I went, let's like, fuck me. Someone's let me into the secret before it's big. You know what I mean? I finally get to hear this band that are going to become fucking My Chemical Romance when I've got 2 songs out. So I was listening, I was like, oh, good. It's nice to be in the inner circle for once, and enjoyed them. Can totally understand why they're going to be massive. And then I also know you're a huge Underdark fan, and like there's a lot of times you were on this podcast and there's an Underdark album up behind you. So it's a bit like,
yeah.
My clash, I mean, if anything, I mean, joking about Amenra and Tokky Horror, because they're 2 bands that I'm really looking forward to seeing. So I'll half and half it, maybe get a wee bit of a dance on to Tokky Horror and enjoy my night. But for you, looking at something going Underdark and On People, does that know something you could have avoided for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point, at that part of the lineup, I'm like trying not to be selfish, I think, there, because I can half and half that. And they don't sound anything like each other. So that's a good clash. Those bands should be on at the same time, I think. And that's like fine. The one that really, I was looking through it today and I suddenly noticed that Hexfest and Love Sex Machine clash. And I was really pissed off with myself. I was like, that is a fucking right rotter of a clash for me. You wouldn't think you could surprise yourself, would you? But I was surprised to see it.
and when you listen to the next episode, guys, you will know why that is such a terrible clash for James.
Yeah. I mean, I love both those bands. The other one is Electric Wizard and Gallops, because I really love the last Gallops EP. I think it's fucking great. And again, going back to having the electronic party, I think that's going to be really fun. The Gallop set will be. But Electric Wizard, I mean,
are you a big Electric Wizard fan?
Yeah. I'm not like an uber massive fan, but I am a real fucking fan of them. I got a bunch of their albums, and as you know, think about it, with some of the music that I've recommended in the last. I like really, really heavy guitars. Really, and I don't mind it when it's quite slow. So Electric Wizard is right up my street when they're in a groove. It's fucking.
Oh, when they're in a groove, and I am not Mr. Doom. I am not the guy to be recommending, like, and they're an on the nose Doom band. They're like some the other stuff you recommend your fans and your sliffs, and I've got bits and bobs, and it kind of goes off and it's weird tangents. No, this is worship the riff. And only the riff, know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not messing about with keyboards and that, but it's like, this is and then when they got like the headline Damnation last year, I mean, I've got a reputation for being a wee bit hit and miss with the live show, but they absolutely nailed it, and it was like hypnotising. So that'll be a hell of a show.
Yeah. And again, although it's tempting to talk about half and half and stuff, both Gallops and Electric Wizard are probably sets that you should just watch and just really get enveloped by it and stay and be into it.
Aye.
So,
Because you know what, there was a set by This Will Destroy You. Although I don't know if they were going through the whole when it was just the acronym at the time. They played that Tangent a couple of years back, and it was one of those ones where it took a while to get into. You know, it was like it wasn't the hit stuff, wasn't the quiet just coming out and doing the stuff off the EP. It was some of the more the newer stuff that even I never knew, and it took a track or two to get in. But see, once you were there, see, once by that point you were like, oh my god, this is the sun's starting to go down in the background. This Will Destroy You. Absolutely blown the place away. But if you went into that with a mind of I'm going to half and half this, catch a couple of This Will Destroy You bangers, then bolt to North 10. It would never have been the same set. So there's you need to be careful with it as well. I mean, with the bands, you can go in and go on your Buds and Roll and go and say, I'm going to go and get 3 or 4 French hardcore bangers and then jump to North 10 catch a Mythica is fine and dandy. But maybe a Electric Wizard, if you're getting there already thinking about when you're going to leave, you might not get the full experience.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about half and half in a bit too much this episode, because actually when I go to another festival, I don't really like doing that. I think that's just more for me because I'm organising it. I feel like I want to see everything because I booked them.
There's definitely something in. There's also something about you've always got a morbid curiosity about how the other stages are running, sounding, looking, how full they are. So I've sometimes left bands at Damnation to go and see a band that I'm not really that interested in. I probably don't like that music because I just want to see the stage. I want to see that everything's up and running and the reaction in the crowd. I want to know for myself when I leave that people have enjoyed that set. So no, I totally agree. So what's the let's be a bit positive then to round this one off then. What's the best run? What you're looking forward to? Are you saying, right, here's where nothing's clashing or nothing's annoying me and I'm just looking forward to enjoying this run of bands?
Right, well, if you told me that for the 10th anniversary of Arctangent, I would be able to go from Brontide into Electric Wizard, into Slift, into Mogwai, I would have ripped your hand off. And it's hard not to feel a bit like I'm patting myself on the back, but that's like a nice mixture of my music taste right there. And it finishes with fucking Mogwai, doesn't it? So it was always meant to be, it turns out. I didn't believe in fate until Mogwai closed the 10th anniversary of Arctangent. And now I do.
That's a hell of a run. The Saturday night, 10th anniversary. We've smashed the podcast by that point, smashed the festival, mate. It's got to be, that is an absolute cracker. I will take us forward a couple of days. That Thursday, the run on the main stage especially is pretty special. I mean, Julie Christmas, Baroness, Clowncore, Explosion in the Sky. Now, I enjoy a bit of Conan, I enjoy a bit of Red Fang, obviously love Amenra, but those 4, like if you were just even at Camp It, if you're just taking it, this is the night I'm just going to sit, get myself some food between the bands and just enjoy that. Julie Christmas, Baroness. I mean, I've really get myself from not being at all interested in Clowncore to kind of fully invested in the live set because I'm not going to stick it on the Spotify tonight and then suddenly start enjoying that music. But that video I saw with the screen and the way they do it and the lights, I'm like, I could see myself really getting into a wee bit of having a bit of a party with that. And then Explosions in the Sky are just as good as it gets for post rock. So that run is pretty incredible with some pretty brilliant bookings.
Amazing. Thanks, mate. Yeah, it's going to be I'm excited. This is the number one reason to show people this now so they can get excited like we're getting excited now. So,
yes. Yeah. Aye, good. And if I was just I'll go on the record in a second then, but definitely Glassing. If you've enjoyed the kind of the bands I've been recommending with your Frail Bodies and Gillian Carter, Glassing and another one for your list. And Year in the Light off this lineup as well. If you don't know about Year in the Light, go and check them out. So
I saw them at Damnation actually. That was where. So just to give you a bit more, I nicked them. That was years ago, long time
2013.
ago. 2013. Yeah, they were on the same stage as Cult of Luna.
It's 2013. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you ever had Rosetta play?
No.
No. That's like they've played Damnation twice, and obviously they're such a shoe in for an event like an event like Arctangent, but is that one of the ones that just not been your radar or the
I don't know,
schedule?
do they still exist? Are they still a band now?
I don't know. They're kind of one of the bands that release an album, then they kind of die away, and then they pop back up, and so I'm not even quite sure how we managed to book them again. But they're another one, but the excellent band that would obviously go down very well at Arctangent.
Should have put them on your stage last week, mate. You had a chance.
What's the chances there? Listen, shells, love. It's all about shells. I speak to Mark from We Lost the Sea. He goes, mate, and his Australian accent, even through text, mate. James looked like he was going to say something about us, and you cut him off, and you let him talk about other bands, and he never got a chance to say. I'm like, for fuck's sake, mate! I'll just put you on the stage, and then I need to wait for James to have fucking a running dialogue with it. So, James, do you have anything else to say about We Lost the Sea for Mark in Australia?
Let's do it. Book the plane tickets. Let's do it. 2025. Done.
Get the plane tickets. There you go, Mark. Thanks. Anything else I can do for you, pal? Let me get you some hot sauces sent in. Right, amazing. Here we go. On the record, tell me what we doing. We need to pick a band from we can't do a whole episode in the Clashfinder, not pick a band from the Clashfinder. So who have you got?
So I banged on about this band quite a lot recently, but it occurred to me that I haven't done it in On the Record, so it's not on our Spotify playlist, which everyone should go and check out. So yeah, Unpeople, their new EP, their debut EP came out last week. There's a song called Waste on it, which is a banger. So Unpeople, I was trying to think about how to describe them, because they're quite a heavy band, but they're not metal. But they are like, so they remind me of a bunch of good stuff from sort of like the 90s and the noughties, like Reuben and Biffy, and there's some Smashing Pumpkins riffs in there. They've got like proper harmonies, proper big fucking songs that you want to sing at the top of your voice. They're heavier than all of those bands I just mentioned, but they're also really, really melodic. And I think I just really like them. They're not really an Arctangent band, but they'll fit better at 2000 Trees. But I would say go and check them out, Arctangent.
Yeah,
as well.
I enjoy. I'm glad you said Biffy, because when I was listening, I thought like Biffy Clyro, Newfound Glory's early stuff, like with the huge, big, catchy choruses and hooks, and My Chemical Romance. Yeah. But again, heavier, but still those big polished choruses and just lots to like. As soon as you hear it, like you can see that being in the arenas pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, there's a lot of bands trying to write big choruses, but there aren't many that are actually, you listen to the song once and you're in the shower and it's in your head and you're just walking around with the riff in your head and then the chorus in your. And basically, that's how I feel about this band. Fucking great.
Yes.
What have you got for us, Gav?
Unpeople, I am going to the opposite end of the spectrum. The Sun's Journey Through the Night. Now, we had a chat about this 6-7 months ago, and you phoned and you said, so what about this, The Sun's Journey Through the Night? And I sold them to you. I felt that they're not, I'm not going to pretend it's a downfall of Gear or a Vigdud, or if there's, it doesn't stray so far that it's into that post-black metal. It is still black metal, but there's something about it in the structures of the songs, and like even by the end, so the track that I'm going to recommend is Worldless. And even by the end of it, it's slowed down to such a pace, it's almost hardcore sludge by the end, because it's just a real slow rhythm, and the rest of it. So they are a black metal band. They're probably right at the edge of the boundary where you go any further into it and you are into your corpse paint and spikes and not suitable for Arctangent. But if I played a part in having these guys booked for Arctangent, I better play my part making sure people go and fucking see them. Yeah. So.
It's a wake up as well, isn't it? They're on fairly early, so yeah.
They are the Friday. They're the second band on. I mean, there's another thing, and let's have a pre-dig at Rob before because you said he's involved in Arctangent now, isn't he?
Yeah. Let's
get some goddamn signage in these stages, Rob, because I've been here since 10 years, mate. 10 fucking years. I have no idea what I'm walking about. I still don't know. I know where the main stage is, and I know the opposite big one's yokai. See, after that, it's just a turkey shoot. I'm just walking about, hoping that I'm walking into the stage. And sometimes somebody's, for everything that gets put in the Arctangent, how spectacular it is. People are fucking putting A4 out the printer, a wee bit of A4, going, Blixer. I mean,
that was not last year. I saw that the year before. Fucking hell.
Rob, play your part, mate. Play a part. Let's get some nice signage outside these tents.
There's a guy who works for Rob called Dan who's probably throwing his something at his TV right now watching you. So yeah, Dan, I think we need some signs, mate, for Gav.
That's gonna be the biggest success of this podcast. And the fucking tents at Up Tangent are gonna be signposted, and I'm gonna stop walking into some twiddly math rock when I thought I was going to see fucking Respite or somewhere else. I'll be like, James, you've done me again, mate. I'm just wandering about here aimlessly. And by day 4, was it last year? I still never knew where the podcast was. I was just like, okay, it's here somewhere. So
there's 5 stages.
5. I mean, we'll make 5 signs. Oh, I'll accept that the main stage is obvious, right? But give me 4 signs, guys. Give me 4 signs.
Dan's the fans agree. Dan's on it.
Dan, sorry, but please, mate, it would mean the world. And yes, so the sun's journey through the night is my shout for that. Let's get a nice busy tent in there if you want to see that level of heavy music at Art Tangent in future. Now, guys, go listen to the playlist, which will have all these tracks on it. It's on the record, 2 Promoters 1 Pod, or 2 Promoters 1 Pod on the record on Spotify. You'll find that if you type that in. We have got, I think we're up to 200 reviews or something now on Spotify, which is quite impressive when we compare us to similar podcasts. So please, if you are using Spotify, hit that. We are now, what's that, almost 1,400 subscribers on YouTube. Again, if you use YouTube watching this, please subscribe, like, to help us with that. And join the page. I think we have 20 likes or 20 follows away for 1,000 people on the page as well. So let's keep this going.
Yeah, let's do it. We're enjoying ourselves. I had a really good time tonight. So yeah.
And the final thing
is keep listening.
And get on to the next. So right after this, your Q&A number 2. What the fuck happened to Opeth at Art Tangent is now available. So get that one too. And we'll see you all next Thursday.
Cheers, Gav.